Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. As you can see, I am not home. That's why I've been able to put out videos like I normally do, but I'm about to get back on the video thing, even though I won't be home necessarily that soon, but I'm working on it. But either way, I have a Terry McLaurin contract update. It's not necessarily the one you want to hear, but we did get some updates from Albert Breer himself. Also, we have Bucky Brooks saying that the Washington Commanders can win a Super Bowl this year if we're going to dive into that. Also, you have a former NFL wide receiver and Robbie Anderson who went out on his own and said the Commanders will have the #1 offense in the entire NFL this year. And we have a lot more to talk about that as well, man. We have Jaden Daniels and Bobby Wagner being included in a very exclusive list. We have where Jaden Daniels is ranked among other quarterbacks in certain ways. We have a lot of different things. Also, we have an update on the bubble for the Commanders practice facilities. And also a small Johnny Newton update that isn't necessarily football related, but it's like we're here talking about it. Let's go ahead and dive into it. And before we get into everything, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all the content. I'm trying to get back to putting videos out for y'all, starting with this one, man. You know, I haven't taken like 3-4 days off in a long time, so we're about to get back to it. So stay tuned. Without further ado, let's go dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with Terry McLaurin's contract update because I don't want to clickbait y'all. So I'm pretty sure most of y'all that probably clicked on this video, this is more than likely the reason why. So I want to go ahead and talk about this first. So per Albert Breer, contract extension talks with Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin are still not in a great place. That's the exact quote too. Still not in a great place. Albert Breer adds that a lot of work needs to be done, but expects that the work will pick up again in a few weeks. Shouts out to Heavy.com because they even talked about it a little bit as well. They said Washington followed up their breakout 2024 season by swinging a trade with the San Francisco 49ers for star wide receiver Deebo Samuel, seemingly giving Daniels one of the top pass-catching duos in the league. The problem is that McLaurin isn't going to play until he gets a new contract from the looks of it, and according to Breer, the two sides aren't exactly on great terms with training camp quickly approaching. The quote from Albert Breer is, quote, "They have a lot of work to do. I'd expect that work will pick up again when the league comes back from a break in a few weeks, but it's still not in a great place. So we'll see what happens. There's plenty of time to get something done," unquote. And I mean, yeah, rookies report July 18th, and then the veterans report on July 22nd. But I feel like maybe like a few days before that, when, you know, the coaches start to come back to the building, the front office, Adam Peters and all those guys get back, maybe that's when things will start to pick up as far as Terry McLaurin contract negotiations. But I'm pretty sure right now, exactly now, and probably for like the next couple of weeks, well into like maybe the middle of July, people are on vacation. This is like literally the only time of year where, like, if a football player wants to go to Disney World with his family, if they want to leave the country with their family and spend like real quality time with their families or whatever they want to do, this is like the only time out of the year. I mean, at the very least, this is the last time in the year of 2025 they're going to be able to do this, because after they get back from training camp, it's going to be training camp, preseason, regular season, postseason. Next thing you know, we'll be in February with no break from football at all for these guys. So I'm saying that I'm as fans, don't hold your breath. Don't wait for a Terry McLaurin update, especially in the positive way, because as time passes, people are just going to keep hyping this up and acting like, oh man, another week has passed, no Terry McLaurin contract update, which means they're not talking to him. Is it there potential they're going to trade him? Is there a potential that he's going to hold out and not play, and all this type of stuff? But just know, these guys are on vacation, so there's no contracts talks being done with really, I'm pretty sure, anybody in the NFL right now. If I'm Terry McLaurin, my phone is on do not disturb until I'm even back in Virginia. He may not even be in Virginia right now, so who knows where he is, what's going on right now. But no, I'm pretty sure even on the other side, like Adam Peters and Brandon Salster on the contract negotiation side, they're probably not even in Virginia right now. They may not even necessarily be in America. Who knows what anybody's doing? So I'm just letting you know right now, we're probably not going to get any Terry McLaurin updates, especially not in a positive way, in a non-clickbaity way, until maybe a couple of weeks from now. So just as the fans, don't hold your breath because these guys are gone. They're not even, I mean, I'm pretty sure Terry McLaurin wants his money, but his priorities are probably so fixated on his family right now and everything. He's married and all of that. He's probably not even really thinking about this that much. He's like, okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but they're not at that bridge right now, man. People are literally on vacation right now. You see me, like, this is the best time to go do whatever you want to do because this is pretty much as dead as football is going to get. Now, again, just a reminder, rookies report to training camp July 18th. So by then, maybe the coaches in the front office, all of those guys will definitely be there. And the rookies will be there, but not necessarily the veterans, maybe not Terry McLaurin. But then the veterans pull up July 22nd. And I think they will get it done by then. I'm confident that they will. Just make sure that you get it done by then, Adam Peters and company. So, I'm not going to really talk about it for a long time in this video. I just wanted to make sure y'all got that update. But while we're here and already talking about Terry McLaurin, shouts out to Pro Football Focus. They did an article very recently, like literally like yesterday or a couple of days ago. They talked about the highest graded receivers by route type from the 2024 NFL season. And they have literally every route you can think of, man. They have the wide screen. Puka Nacua won that one. You have the crossing route. Devonta Smith won that one. The flat speed out. Josh Downs got that one, the highest grade there. The slant, Mike Evans. The hitch, A.J. Brown. Then you come to the comeback, it's Tutu Atwell, who's number one with a 91.8 grade. But then Terry McLaurin second, right there with an 87.3, minimum of 3 targets. Then you also have the in route. That's led by Justin Jefferson. Then the out route is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then you have Brian Thomas, who won the post route already as a rookie. Shouts out to him. And then the corner route is Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then the go route, George Pickens, Georgia Dog, number one with a 95.6. Ex-Steeler, now currently Cowboy. But Terry McLaurin is right there in second place with a 94.6. So, I mean, there's not a lot of receivers whose names pop up more than once on this list at all, whether they're first, second, or third place. So Terry McLaurin is definitely a special breed to where even though, yeah, he didn't necessarily pop up, as a number one at any of these routes, but he's right there at number 2 for 2 different routes, man. This guy's a very special skill set that you need him on the field for. But again, I'm not worried about that. Now, speaking of receivers moving on, shouts out to Robbie Chosen Anderson. No reason to be biased towards, for, against the Commanders in any way. He was on the NFL Network. It's a 35-second clip if you want to go check it out yourself. He believes that the Commanders could be the number 1 offense in the entire NFL next year. And hey, man, I mean, I know it's lofty expectations and, just kind of throwing that out there. Maybe he was just saying that to generate clicks and buzz because, a lot of people are going to just naturally look at the teams with the top 4 quarterbacks, whether it's the Bills with Josh Allen, the Chiefs with Pat Mahomes, the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They have no defense, so they're probably going to be one of the highest scoring offenses just naturally because their offense is going to be on the field so often. They're going to go score a touchdown. Their defense is going to allow a touchdown so quickly. Their offense is going to be on the field again. Their time of possession, the amount of possessions they'll get per game, probably going to lead the NFL there. So naturally, they're probably going to end up with the most points because their defense is that bad. But we'll see. Wet toilet paper defense is probably going to produce some really unnecessary numbers for the Bengals. I don't think it's necessarily going to translate to a lot of wins. There's a reason you just can't only have a high-powered offense. But, when you're looking at offensive stats, and especially if you're looking at overall stats, not on like a per possession basis, not looking at efficiency things, if you're just looking at overall points per game, the Bengals probably already have that on lock because they do have a really good offense. I can admit they have a top 4 quarterback and everything, but that defense is so bad now. That's going to skew their data at least pretty far one way just off of that alone. But then, of course, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson as well. But then you also have the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. Most people feel like at this point, Jaden Daniels is already a top 5 quarterback, so why can't the Commanders have a top 5 offense? And if we have what most people feel like potentially a top 5 offense, what's so shocking about us potentially growing into the number 1 offense, especially with Jaden Daniels only getting better? So go check that out from Robbie Anderson there. Again, no reason for him to hype up to the Commanders. He's not a Commanders fan, not a Commanders reporter or nothing. That's purely from a neutral viewpoint. But then also, just a few days ago, Austin Eckler was on Sirius XM Radio. He talked about the potential of the Commanders 2025 offense as well. He said, quote, "I think there's even going to be more growth this year," which is awesome because of where we are at with our team and having a lot of players back. We still have a lot of playmakers. We still have to get Terry paid. Oh man, we're going to be looking like a powerhouse out there. So Austin Eckler, I mean, he's probably feeling the same way that Robbie Anderson is looking at us with the way our offense is built. I mean, just Look at what we did last year. And then you take that and then you add Larry Tunsil at left tackle, Josh Conley at right tackle. The backup offensive line has 3 starters in it. With Nate Herbig was supposed to be the starting center for the Steelers last year before he got hurt very early in the season, had to miss the entire season. Nick Allegretti and Andrew Wiley are backups right now, and they literally started for us last year. When Samuel Cosme's healthy, I think this is a top 5 offensive line. You give Jaden Daniels a top 5 offensive line. Jaden Daniels last year with more time. Come on, man. And then he's only going to get better. A lot of people are talking about teams are going to watch film on him and catch up to him. Well, they never caught up to him last year. The Eagles never stopped him. We just kept fumbling. We were really close in that game right before halftime, before the Eagles went for that 4th down and things like that. That game could have went a completely different way, especially if we weren't fumbling the ball. That was not Jaden Daniels' fault. I haven't seen any evidence the last 8 weeks of football, including the postseason, of anybody figuring out Jaden Daniels. And then Jaden Daniels is only going to get better going into this year because the supporting cast around him, again, top 5 offensive line, and even just going back to the offensive line, the depth that we have, you just can never expect all 5 of your starting offensive linemen to survive an entire 17-game regular season and some postseason that we expect to be a part of. And so to have startable depth, guys that should be starting elsewhere, but they're your backup, so if there is an injury, they can step in and you almost don't miss a step. That's going to be the reason that we are so successful in January and February. The fact that we have 3 backups. You can argue if you want to throw Trent Scott in there as a 4th one that can come in and start for you and your offense doesn't skip a beat. That's insane. Remember, Trent Scott started, as soon as Samuel Cosme got hurt after that first touchdown against the Lions, in the first quarter, Trent Scott played the rest of that game, and we had one of our best offensive explosions the entire year, and you barely even noticed. Of course, you miss Samuel Cosme. You want him to start as a Pro Bowler at right guard, but Trent Scott is a 4th member that can step in and play for you, and you wouldn't really even notice necessarily so. And then, again, Jaden Daniels with more time. Larry Tunsil at left tackle, Josh Conley at right tackle, Deebo Samuel in the mix, and a lot of people are hyping up Deebo Samuel, man. We're going to talk about that in another video where, it's not even just me, it's not even just Commanders fans. There's a lot of neutral analysts out here saying that Deebo Samuel is about to ball out this season. We'll get there later on. But yeah, man, Jaden Daniels, man, why not? Why wouldn't we have at least have one of those teams that you can argue is the best offense in all of football? If we're definitively top 5 in quarterback, our offensive line, our weapons are way better than what it was last year. And if anything, the coaching is going to be better because now instead of spending the entire offseason learning the offense, now we can build on what we already have, game, chemistry, all of that type of stuff from last year. Maybe there's a couple of people like Deebo Samuel, Josh Conley that have to kind of catch up to speed because they weren't here last year. But for Ja'Cory Krosky-Mayer, don't get me started on him, man. Once he finally gets it clicking, once he's able to pass protect so we can trust him on the field on 3rd downs, I think he's going to be that electric running back that first of all opens up the playbook. We heard during mandatory minicamp, he ran an outside zone 60 yards for a touchdown. 60 yards for a touchdown. Cool. I was excited about that. But the main thing I heard was we ran an outside zone. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, none of our running backs last year could run an outside zone successfully. Ja'Cory is already shown, this coaching staff, Cliff Kingsbury specifically, that he has enough burst, explosion, acceleration, speed, quickness, all of that agility to be able to run a play that we just could not run last year. Cliff Kingsbury pretty much just had to throw away every page that had outside zone runs in it last year. So, that's just amazing right there. So Ja'Cory is going to take this offense to another level, which we didn't have last year. If our offense was that good last year, that efficient, historically great on 4th and 3rd downs last year, why would it not at the very least be even slightly better than it was last year? I think we have a stake in potentially having the best offense in the NFL. It may not even necessarily be number 1, but I'm very confident it's going to be top 5, and a top 5 offense with an improved run defense. Oh man, and then Trey Amos, man, we about to be dangerous. But either way, moving on, a lot of people have high expectations for Jaden Daniels. Like Rich Eisen predicts that he'll have 5,000 total yards, 35 plus touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. That's an MVP season right there, Rich Eisen. I hope you know what you're talking about. And I think it was Rich Eisen just a few weeks ago, maybe over a month ago, that had us ranked 2nd in his power ranking, 2nd or 3rd or something like that. So watch out. And then also, you have Marcus Spears. He was on NFL Live on ESPN. That's a whole 1 minute and 20-second clip uploaded by at ESPN NFL themselves. Literally the ESPN Twitter account uploaded a 1 minute and 20-second clip saying Marcus Spears has high expectations for Jaden Daniels going into next season. The exact main quote that came from it, but I definitely highly encourage you to go watch that clip so you can hear, a lot of people loving what the Commanders are doing because they couldn't really disagree. They were like, hey, that Marcus Spears got a point type of thing. He said, quote, I expect him to be the best quarterback in the NFC East, unquote. And that is an NFC East that now includes Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, and even Jalen Hurts, who just won a Super Bowl. And he was Super Bowl MVP, I believe, right? So now, granted, it's a lot of Georgia Bulldogs carrying that guy. But either way, Jalen Hurts, he's not Jaden Daniels, but he's still a good quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So, but Jaden Daniels already just going into his second year in the NFL, and people not only predict for him to be the best quarterback in the NFC East. Marcus Spears said he expects Jaden Daniels to be the best quarterback in the NFC East. Very high praise, but I believe it to be true. And if you take a look on the screen right now, shouts out to Scott Buska for pointing this out. The fact that Jaden Daniels last year analytically had a better season than Pat Mahomes, like in the same year. And so his point was the sophomore slump everyone's predicting will not happen. Look at these stats, man. Jaden Daniels had the better completion percentage. He had more touchdowns, less interceptions. If you're taking a look at a lot of these, the EPA per game, the yards per attempt, he's beating them in so many different ways, man. The rushing, Pat Mahomes barely has them passed in the passing category, but the blitz, Jaden Daniels was better against that as well. And again, this is rookie Jaden Daniels. This is multiple Super Bowl winning Pat Mahomes already. We're not talking about Pat Mahomes' first year starting versus Jaden Daniels' first year starting. These are both 2024 season stats that are compared against each other. Now, also moving on. Shouts out to the Commanders Wire. They did a whole article breaking down one potential area of improvement for Jaden Daniels. So we have all of these expectations. And when people do articles like this, I'm more so seeing it as he's already great. What's stopping him from being even greater? What's the thing that he can work on to, work towards? There's no such thing as perfection, but what's the thing that could help him get closer to that? I don't see this as somebody nitpicking Jaden Daniels and being like, he needs to improve this. He's actually not that great. He still needs to work. I see this as, okay, he's already a top 5 quarterback. What's stopping him from being number 1? And so Ivan Lambert of Commanders Wire did a whole article, one potential area of improvement for Jaden Daniels in 2025. And he said, which NFL quarterback completed the most passes in 2024 with 25 plus air yards? In addition, where did the Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels rank last season in completions down the field of at least 25 yards? And it's important to remember and distinguish that this statistic is in no way includes yards after the catch. It strictly includes plays where the ball traveled from the quarterback to the receiver at least 25 yards down the field. On Tuesday, analyst Warren Sharp provided each team's data on Twitter during the 2024 season. And as you can see on the screen right now, Jaden Daniels had a great rookie season and was voted NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year for the 2024 season. However, this was not one of his better statistics. Only 10 teams completed fewer passes of 25 plus air yards than Washington did in 2024. But at the same time, we totaled 11 and we're tied with Baltimore, New Orleans, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston, Dallas, New England, and the New York Jets. So when you're looking at it, we're really somewhere around like average, maybe even slightly above average, depending on how you want to look at it, with that huge tie that we have with, most teams had 11. More teams had 11 than any other teams, with any other number the teams had out of this whole chart. Shouts out to Green Bay for being so explosive. I'm surprised by the Pittsburgh thing, but Russell Wilson, one thing he can do is throw a deep ball, and Sam Darnold had the best year of his career by far. And then Anthony Richardson, glass cannon, he's either going to throw an 80-yard bomb touchdown or he's going to throw a crazy interception, and it's like, how did you even draft this guy? And the Chargers, Ladd McConkey, Georgia Bulldog, what can you say? And then the Bengals have 2 top 10 paid wide receivers in the top 4 quarterback in the NFL. So what can you do there? But then it is at the same time, it's kind of like, do you just dismiss this, this chart? Because what does it say when Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford only had 8? And then the Lions, arguably the best offense in all of football last year, the highest scoring offense, and they're low on the chart as well. And then Pat Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, like all of these elite offenses that we think of, with the Rams and Detroit with 8, and then the Chiefs with only 6. It's just kind of like, does this data point even necessarily matter is the point here. But hey, man, this is something that maybe Jaden Daniels can improve on and take his whole repertoire of traits and advantages to a whole nother level. And then also, shouts out to Bucky Brooks. He's one NFL analyst that believes the Commanders are Super Bowl material if one major domino falls during the regular season. Now, you're going to hear this and be like, well, I mean, I guess, duh. You know, if we do this, of course we more than likely win a Super Bowl. But it's not necessarily guaranteed. But I think I'm going to look at it as Bucky Brooks is bringing this up because he believes that this is obtainable. He thinks we can achieve this. He believes that the Commanders can win the Super Bowl by clinching the NFC's #1 seed. And then he said, quote, it's hard to improve from good to great in the NFL. But the Commanders might join the league's elites with an improved roster that features more blue chip players than were around in 2024, especially around Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. The Commanders are built to run through the NFC with a superstar quarterback surrounded by a stellar supporting cast. I love the fact that people feel like finally we have a really good supporting cast around them. Remember all of that Bears hype when the Bears were drafting Caleb Williams and everybody was so low on the Commanders. People were talking about the Caleb Williams going to the best situation a first round pick quarterback has ever gone into, all of that. It's crazy how things change. But either way, to finish up the quote, if Washington can secure the NFC's #1 seed, we can see a championship parade in the nation's capital come February, unquote. And again, it's kind of like, yeah, if we end up being the #1 seed, of course we should be favored to win the Super Bowl. And I think there is something to that just off of the fact that if we have home field advantage the entire play, you saw what we did on the road every single game against the Buccaneers, against the Detroit Lions and wins, and then Philadelphia thing, you know, the wheels kind of fell up from under us. Again, I blame a lot of fumbling. I blame a lot of people looking funny in the limelight, just not ready for the moment for whatever reasons. But it wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault. I can tell you that right now. But I think if we honestly, I mean, it's kind of like a obviously duh type of thing. But if we secured the #1 seed, we have home field advantage the entire playoffs until we get to the Super Bowl. I really like our chances of winning the Super Bowl. I'm putting big money on us after we win a #1 seed. I ain't gonna lie. And then also moving on, CBS Sports recently named its all-bargain team using Pete Prisco's list of top 100 players. You have two Commanders, Jaden Daniels and linebacker Bobby Wagner, who both made the list. Just to break it down real quick, Cody Benjamin said that he was identifying some of the best and most affordable talent in the league. It's not just about how good you are, it's about how much of a bargain you are because of basically it's talent per dollar. It's like how great you are divided by how much you cost the team against the cap. They said the whole breakdown of it. Building a championship NFL team takes work. It also takes money. In the salary cap era, Super Bowl contenders must be financially sound, properly allocating resources, and sometimes getting creative with money management to build, grow, and sustain worthwhile talent. Which raises the question, is it possible to prioritize affordable players and still assemble a title caliber lineup? We attempted to answer that very question by constructing an all-bargain team from Pete Prisco's 2025 ranking of the NFL's top 100 players, and here's how we did it. #1, 22 different players were selected, 11 offensive starters and 11 defensive starters. #2, only players on Pete Prisco's top 100 list were eligible for the selection. Cool, so you got to be one of the top 100 elite players in the NFL according to Pete Prisco. And then also third, players had to fit under an imaginary $139.6 million salary cap. This number was chosen because it is half the actual 2025 salary cap, reflecting the all-bargains team reduced roster size. And then also players' individuals' 2025 salary cap hits were used to calculate their costs. Without further ado, our 2025 all-bargain team, which was carefully built to contend and still had $1.4 million in cap space to spare. So basically the point of this whole project was, let's just try to build the best possible team just out of the entire NFL, like taking the best players from each position and to where we can still stay under the salary cap. So that's why it's a bargain. So the reason that it's so cool that Jaden Daniels made this list, because they feel like per dollar, how much he's making and how much of a cap hit he is, he's the best bargain. He's the best value in the NFL out of every quarterback in the NFL. Because, of course, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson are already in beyond their rookie contracts. They're making ridiculous money, eating up a large percentage of their cap spaces for their teams. And then Jaden Daniels, out of all of the guys that are still on rookie deals that are really cheap, he's clearly the best quarterback out of those guys. And so he's almost as good as those top four quarterbacks, arguably just as good, maybe even slightly better. We'll see. You know, we can debate that all we want, but he's way cheaper. So that's why it's really cool that Jaden Daniels made this list. But also Bobby Wagner made the list as well. Started with Jaden Daniels. They said Daniels is the elite quarterback on a rookie deal fantasy brought to life. The Commanders' dynamic dual threat wasn't just efficient and explosive as a rookie quarterback. He was also unmoved by the moment, nearly dragging Washington all the way to the Super Bowl. Could he take a step back in year 2? Sure. If he's healthy, though, we have no reason to believe he will. Regardless, he's a financial steal. And then when it comes to Bobby Wagner, again, this is a starting 11 players on offense and starting 11 players on defense. They feel like Bobby Wagner is one of the biggest bargains in the entire NFL defensively, especially out of the linebacker group. He said, like a fine wine, Wagner just can't stop aging gracefully. He'll be 35 at the start of 2025, which means the Commanders can only count on him for so long. Or can they? The longtime Seattle Seahawks star has missed just 3 games over the last decade, and while he may not possess the top-end athleticism of today's linebackers, he remains a physical force close to the line, totaling 1,800 plus tackles for his career. That is a lot of damage to the body, man. Shouts out to Bobby Wagner. And now moving on, I have a couple of random updates before we get up out of here. Look at the new bubble that the Commanders are building right now. Shouts out to Nikki Javala for not only providing that picture that you see right now, but also the tweet to follow it up with saying, if you drive by Ashburn and see there's no bubble at the Commanders facility, it's because the team is putting up a new bubble, a new shell, the new like big white thing around the field where they can practice indoors if the weather's inclement, if it's too hot, if it's raining, whatever. But also she mentioned along with all of the other construction for a new locker room. The Commanders are getting a new locker room already. Let's get it. I love to hear that. A new bubble's cool too. Thank you for doing that, Josh Harris and company as well. But a new locker room. So that means by the time next year they do the whole free agency, grading thing and all of that type of stuff, we're going to get an even higher grade for the facilities, for the practice facilities, for the locker room. Remember, I believe we had like a low grade for that. We had high grades for a lot of things, and it's a huge improvement from that previous terrible owner we had. But locker room I think that was one of the things that we were either like average at or poor at. And the fact that we're improving that and we're potentially going to be great at that as well, we're slowly working on becoming literally the number 1 free agency destination in the entire NFL. We're already one of the top ones, one of the best ones, but we're trying to become literally a definitive number 1 to where it's no argument, no debate. And then also before we get up out of here, shouts out to Johnny Newton, man. Going into his 2nd year, he already cut off the locks. He was not playing. This is via his Instagram, going from the super duper Florida locks, the wicks that he had, now a fresh cut. Let's see if a new cut is a new him, because last year, I can admit, slightly disappointing based off of the talent that I felt like he had coming out of Illinois. I thought, a lot of people felt like when we took him, it was like, why did you take a defensive tackle? That's not necessarily one of your biggest needs, but you could easily argue he was best player available and had no business even making it to the early 2nd round. He didn't necessarily play like it last year, but I feel like a lot of that was due to the fact that he missed the entire offseason, not just missing the entire offseason. How about your rookie offseason? Your first time in the NFL, you have to miss all of rookie minicamp, all of voluntary OTAs, all of mandatory minicamp, and I believe all of training camp, if not at least most of it. And along with missing preseason, all of that, he just got thrown into the wolves like early into the regular season and had to figure it out. He was not able, he wasn't blessed to be able to get all of the offseason stuff that everybody else got. Even Jaden, imagine Jaden Daniels going out there and playing week 3 with no offseason, no training camp, no preseason, no nothing. And Johnny Newton deserves that same level of grace and patience from our fan base, because that's literally what he went through. Yeah, I know he's a defensive tackle, he's not a quarterback, but still, man, that matters. And I just feel like the game was too fast for him last year. I think this offseason, the offseason is when you can work on a lot of the little things, because during the regular season, I forgot who said this. I think it was Dan Quinn or somebody said this literally just a few weeks ago that, during the regular season, or maybe it was one of the players, but I remember the quote literally was somewhere to the extent that during the regular season, we're spending so much time game planning and getting ready for the opponent. We can't stop and focus on all of the little very minute details that make big impacts on how we perform and play and produce and things like that. We can't stop and focus on the little things and hold your hand and like work on this same thing over and over and over again until you get it. We don't have time to do that during the regular and postseason. You do that type of stuff during the off season, and Johnny Newton missed all of that last year. So there's probably some like minor tweaks to his game, some random things that he could change, his pad level, things like that we just could not. They didn't have the time to work on that with him individually last year. because it was just the ball was rolling. We got to win now. We can't stop and hold your hand. I know you're a rookie, you missed the entire offseason, but we can't slow down just to help you. We got to keep this whole train rolling, and we got to think macro, not micro. You spend the offseason looking at everything in a micro lens and working on all of the little things, going all the way back to the basics. And I think that's going to pay dividends for Johnny Newton. I don't think necessarily the haircut is going to change what's going on, but I think him finally having a fully healthy offseason, I promise you he's going to look like that first round pick. It may not necessarily be early this season, but I really have a strong feeling by the end of this season, Johnny Newton's going to look like, man, how did he make it to the early second round? So make sure y'all stay tuned for that, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the video, staying tuned, even though I've been super busy. I haven't been home and things like that, but thank y'all for staying patient. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Leave a like on the way out. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about Terry McLaurin. How do you feel about us having a chance of going to the Super Bowl? How do you feel about us having a chance of having the best offense in the NFL? Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. The fact that we're getting a new locker room. I can't wait to get more information and like some pictures of that. I'm super excited. I'm gonna do a whole video once we finally get to see what the locker room looks like. You already know I'm gonna show you all the pictures. We're gonna live react to it together and all of that. So stay tuned. Without further ado, man, I really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.